Hey everybody, good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Tyngsborough TV Live. This is a special series that I'm doing called Tyngsborough Tuesdays that we've been inviting in various businesses from from the town of Tyngsborough to come in and talk about what they do. I am, of course, the town media director, Steve Brogan, and I thank you all for watching. If you are watching us via Facebook, you can obviously chime in and ask questions there. I'm watching the comment section. You can also watch this through YouTube, and again, you can also leave comments there. So if you want to ask questions of our guests, you're more than welcome to. You can also watch this on tyngsborough.ma.gov through our live streaming and video on demand service. And of course, you can watch this in town on Comcast Channel 8 and Verizon Channel 29. If you are watching on regular television. So a lot of people still do that. There are still people who watch regular TV. So my guest today her name is Danielle Robichaud. Did I say that right?
It's my married name,
Okay.
so I don't really know the proper way to say it. No,
good.
It's like Robichaud. Yeah.
Okay, I see it. I see Robichaud. So all right,
Yeah.
good enough. So Danielle does you do homemade, handmade jewelry.
Yes.
And you have an Etsy store and a number of other ways you get it out, I imagine, get the stuff out.
Yes.
Now, let's start with the basics. So as I said, this is Tyngsborough Tuesdays. If you have a business, I just want to mention real quick that if you have a business in town and you would like to come on the show, feel free to give me an email or send me a message through Facebook or any of the other avenues. sbrogan@tyngsborough.gov is my email if you'd like to take part, and we'll set up a time where you can come in and talk about your business. So, so let's start with the basics, Danielle. When did you start, and why did you get into doing handmade jewelry?
Well, when I was young, I always wanted to be some sort of artist in some capacity. And in high school, the art room was like my solace, like my space. And then I went into art school. I graduated from Massachusetts College of Art with a BFA in sculpture. And I kind of hit a dead end.
Okay.
I was like, ugh. I'm done now.
I imagine sculpting is tough because it's like you got rock and you got clay and things like that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I focused in ceramics.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I did a lot of mixed media work.
Oh, okay.
So it moved on from art school. And then actually my senior year of art school, I took a jewelry making class with a jeweler named Munya Abigail Yupin. I think that's how we pronounced her name. And she showed me that jewelry is basically sculpture in small form. And you can use all the same materials. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So, of course, this piqued my interest, like right when I was graduating college. I was like, oh, that's great. So then I took some summer classes at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts, which is right next door.
Oh, okay, cool.
And my teacher, Linda Priest, at the time was like, get on board. You just start doing this. It's easy to start small. And I was like, yeah, I got to make money and pay off this school loan now. So then I worked for a ceramic designer in Boston for a bunch of years. But I still felt like I wasn't doing what I should be doing. And then I was waiting tables and doing all that fun stuff.
As a lot of other college students do.
Exactly, to pay off the bills and everything. So I was like, oh, I was on the train because I grew up close to Boston. So I worked in Boston, went to school in Boston. So I was on the train one day and I was like, I saw this ad for a school called North Bennett Street School. I was like, how did I not hear of this place? So I looked it up and saw that they had a jewelry making and repair program. And I was like, So I went and checked it out. I brought some work that I had done. And the teacher, Rosemary Trainer, was like, we'd love to have you. Come in, So I was like, okay. And this type of school, it's a trade school. So it teaches you the old school way of doing everything.
Okay, so like classic styles.
Yes.
Okay.
So you hand engraving, stone setting,
cool.
Using gold, silver, platinum, all that stuff. And I kind of fell in love with it. And I learned a bunch of stuff. I learned stuff that I don't like to do, and I learned stuff that I do like to do. And I got an internship at a very high-end jewelry store in Boston. And I worked there as kind of like an apprentice for a few years. And I did customer service. And then there were changes in the company. and I became like the jewelry shop manager. So I was the manager of all these people that were like my mentors, and it felt really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I bet.
I felt really uncomfortable. And I realized, hey, I still have a lot of debt. And then I worked in an office for a while. And then I, met my husband. We started a family. And then I'm like, I got all this stuff from school. I need to do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
So last Christmas time, I started tinkering again. I got this I'm going to set up my studio. So I, pushed everything, moved everything, threw stuff out, and just set up a studio and started making jewelry again. And I was like, oh, I guess I got to join Instagram. I guess I got to join Twitter.
Right. You got to start showing off your wares.
I guess I got to, so now that's the hardest part is the social media presence. That's the most difficult.
It can be a little bit daunting at times. There's so many of them. So just really quickly for folks who are just tuning in. So this is our Tyngsborough Tuesday segment where I invite businesses from the town of Tyngsborough to come in and talk about their businesses, tell us about what they do and why, and give you information on if you wanted to reach out and contact them and have them do something for you. So my guest today is Danielle Robichaud. She's talking about her handmade and homemade jewelry that she's been making for. Now, it seems like this is only in the last year that you've been really pushing to get this going?
Yeah. I heard all about Etsy and all these other avenues to sell, and Etsy just seemed the easiest for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's the big kind of clearinghouse for folks who make stuff, basically.
It is, but you're a needle in a haystack.
Right.
You're a needle in a giant haystack, especially in the jewelry section of that store.
I imagine, yeah.
So you're constantly on there updating your SEOs and taglines, and I don't know what they call it. I'm not. That's not my part of knowledge. I just do. I just read articles. I'm like, oh, I guess I should try this. So I try.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty much how it spawned. And then I've learned a lot, and now I'm trying to hit farmers markets, craft fairs. So I have a lot upcoming. That I need to pack and set up, close down, leave, come back, that kind of thing.
Do you spend a lot of time traveling, doing the farmers markets and or any of these various jewelry sale places? If
I didn't have children and I wasn't married and it was my only thing, I would do as much as I could. But the reality is that I can only do maybe a couple a month.
Okay. So you're limited in
I'm limited. Yeah, I'm limited. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what would you? So you do jewelry. You make jewelry. Are you just making one specific type of jewelry? Or are you making kind of whatever people want or whatever you want? What drives you basically?
I call myself a tinkerer. I like to tinker. So I just have a bunch of pieces and parts and different metals and all that kind of stuff. And what I tend to do is I just hammer away, piece things together, hammer away, piece things together until I see something that could become something else. So I make rings, I make bracelets, I make necklaces. I started making keychains with some scrap leather I have. I'm just making things, just constantly making things. And I do receive custom orders.
Okay.
I had a friend, he wanted to propose to his girlfriend. So he's like, I can't really do more than this amount. And I'm like, that's fine. Mm-hmm. So I worked within those parameters with him, drew a couple of designs up, and he went with it. And she said yes, and voila.
Well, that's always good, right? Apparently she liked what you did, so that's cool. Yeah. So you do take custom orders?
I do.
For the stuff you do? That's awesome. Well, we were talking off air because I want to have a new wedding band made for myself. And I was telling you off air that I got a titanium wedding band because I'm cheap for one. No, I'm kidding. I'm not a showy. I don't really care for gold necessarily.
Most men aren't.
And I'm not surprised. Yeah. I feel like the secondary metals, I'll call them, are super popular. Cobalts and titanium and whatever.
And I've never worked with any of those.
No, okay. So, but one of the things I thought would be really neat was to have a wedding band made out of copper, which I saw one on your website, and that was kind of what get the gears in my head working, because a long time ago I read a story about it was Dave Matthews, the singer, the guy in the band. He had wedding bands made out of pennies, copper pennies, made from the birth year of his wife and himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he had bands made out of those. I thought that was a really cool idea that always stuck with me. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that'd be so neat to have done. Maybe I'll have you do that. That'd be kind of cool. So
Yeah, you'll be my guinea pig.
cool. Excellent. There we go. I kind of asked you or did I ask you what inspires you? I guess. I mean, you said you kind of like to just kind of futz around and
Yeah, I just
find
like
different things and play. But
yeah.
do you look at inspiration in the jewelry world? Do you look at other people, or is there anybody that you're sort of try to emulate?
I guess I'm really into process, and I really like the process of making jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like certain design periods of time, like
Okay.
Art Nouveau,
Okay.
like from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. Not Art Deco so much,
Okay.
but more
yeah.
Art Nouveau, like the flowing floral designs. That's kind of like, Tiffany was
Mhm.
part of that.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot simpler than the deco stuff. The deco's a lot
The
more
Deco's like edgier.
flashy and edgy.
Yeah, like think of the movie Metropolis.
Mhm.
That's like Art Deco,
Mhm.
I'm more into the Art Nouveau, so kind of, the posters that you see of like, Grecian style women wearing flowing dresses
Mhm.
and long hair and stuff like that. That's kind of my inspiration, or what I'm most attracted to inspire me.
Okay.
Even though my pieces don't look like that, but yeah, I guess, I'm thinking of that the whole time.
Well, so I was looking through your Etsy store a little bit before we started, and you have kind of a neat style. I like the hand hammered look. I mean,
Yep.
it's not for everybody, obviously, but I think it's a neat look in that you just it looks human. It gives it that richness that you don't get from like something that's super I guess engraved or very finely detailed or cast, right? Exactly, that's the word. Yeah, but I think that's a kind of a neat style, and again, something I enjoy personally. But we asked about the customer requests. I'm just kind of go through my questions here and make sure we kind of cover everything that I wanted to. Where do you get your materials from? Where do you source that stuff from?
I was given a long time ago when I worked at this big jewelry store in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine there, his dad had passed away like years ago, and he was trying to sell the house. And he's like, my dad used to be a jeweler in like the 50s and 60s, and he's got this old workbench. Do you want it? And I was like, sure. Yeah. And I saw it. And I was like, dude, this thing's like ancient.
Really?
It's got like wrought iron legs, and it's like
wow.
super old and rickety. I was like, I'll take it, So that's my workbench. And he gave me a bunch of materials too. Like most of it's like stuff I can't really use, but maybe one day I'll find a way to use it. So I've just been carrying it from house to house, apartment to apartment all these years. But fresh material, like new material, you can get it from folks on Etsy. You can get it from different resource websites like Rio Grande. I mean, I try not to go too crazy.
The reason why I ask is because there's a push in a lot of ways for not only American made but American sourced. So that's why does it come from other countries?
Oh
or is
yeah,
it
probably comes from other countries.
Yeah.
Unless you like specifically shop for USA. Products, you're going to get stuff from like Indonesia, China.
Okay. Right.
Plus, too, if like you're using stones, unless they're lab grown in the U.S., the stones are going to be from like Sri Lanka or
Myanmar, where they mine that stuff from. That makes sense. Right. Okay. I was just kind of curious.
I mean, there are some businesses, bless their souls, that are trying to use all, American made products, but it's hard.
It doesn't sound like it's easy to find and source that material. So,
no.
Is there a particular type of metal that you like to work with? Like, what's your favorite type of metal to work with, or favorite jewelry to make? I guess let's say.
My favorite type of metal to work with is gold.
Okay.
But I don't use it very often. It's not very affordable these days.
I can
for
imagine,
folks.
yeah.
It's like higher than platinum was. Gold prices right now are almost triple what they were when I was in jewelry school.
Wow, really? Wow.
And so the markets fluctuate so crazily. But gold is really, really fun to work with.
Now, why is it? Just because it's soft and malleable, or
buttery, polish is nice.
Okay.
Platinum's really nice to work with. However, it's really gummy. Like, it's not forgiving when you polish it. Like you really got to work at that
okay.
to polish it.
Interesting.
Copper is nice. It's kind of like platinum where it's gummy, hard to polish. That's why I kind of just avoid polishing it.
You kind of leave it like that matte
I kind of
look.
leave it like it is.
Yeah.
Some people treat copper with like a sealant so that it doesn't tarnish or, you know, turn your finger green. But I kind of like the way it does that.
Well, that's that patina, which
Yeah,
looks
the
really
patina.
cool. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's one thing I like about copper too.
Yeah, and I use brass. Brass is another one, and silver. I'm kind of branching more into the sterling silver area.
Okay.
Only because that's most common, and it's in high demand. I mean, everybody pretty much wears silver jewelry.
That's true. It's very common. Now, why sterling silver as opposed to just pure silver?
Excuse me. Pure silver, which is also called fine silver, is just it's too soft.
Okay.
It's not mixed with any alloy, so it's used a lot in like bezels around stones to keep the stones in, because it's easy to push over the stone, but it's not used like to make the band of a ring.
Oh, okay.
Also, like anything like 24 karat gold, you won't really find it making the band of a ring. If you do, it's going to be beautiful, but it's going to be like bendy, like you whack it, it'll bend. And
I imagine too with use it starts to wear away, much like the coins. I read that the coinage, our original numismatics were gold and silver, and they stopped using that because they actually started to wear away in people's pockets.
Yes.
So the face of it would go away, and slowly it would become less and less of
even
whatever the coin weight was.
Something as simple as like your bed sheets. Like, I sleep with my hands under my pillow, and I have an engagement ring or wedding ring or whatever that has prongs on it. Over a long time, your hands, as they like go against the sheets, will act as a file and start like sanding down your prongs over time.
Even something as soft as a bed sheet. That's interesting. Huh. Very interesting.
Just, everyday normal wear and tear.
Interesting. So, where are the different places that you sell? You mentioned farmers markets and Etsy. Are there any other avenues that you sell through?
I have pieces on consignment. Can I say where?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I have pieces on consignment at the Artisans Exchange, and that's in Chelmsford, right in Chelmsford Center.
Oh, okay.
I've
seen that, yeah.
It's a great place. They have classes, workshops, knitting time. But they sell all locally handmade goods.
Okay.
From different artisans, all in this, this area. And it's worth stopping by just to check out what they have, because it does change, it fluctuates, and there's a lot of good talent in that store. But I have a couple of pieces there. But right now I'm just trying to like stay caught up on the amount I have. So like I'm trying to make what's it called?
Keep a back stock or an inventory?
Yeah, just like an inventory. Thank you. Not enough coffee today.
It's okay.
An inventory. Yeah.
It's kind of Monday, really.
I know, really. Ugh, I know. So I've been trying to keep like an inventory of stuff. But because I get, I'm tinkery, I'm constantly making new things. So sometimes I'll make new things and people are like, hey, what about that thing that you made that time? And I'm like, oh, I can still make it. I can make another one. I can make, I can make it.
Do you get
order.
a lot of that? A lot of people, like they'll see something that you had before and be like, oh, I saw my friend got that ring, and can you make me one? Yeah.
If I have the pieces or the materials, yes.
Excellent.
Yep.
Very cool. What's the turnaround time? So say I order a custom wedding band. What's the turnaround time look like if I wanted something?
Well, if you wanted a penny, and because I've never done that, I would say like 2 weeks.
Oh,
because
okay.
it's going to take me some time to not only work through the surprising amount of other orders I've received recently.
Really?
Yeah. But, doing the shows, taking care of my kids. So, and if I have to order material. So usually it takes like 2 weeks, 3 weeks max. For stuff that I can make in a jiffy or have on hand, like 2 to 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Sometimes I already have it in stock and I can just ship it out. So, yeah.
So now, is this your full-time job? Is this all you do, or do you do anything else other than taking care of your family and kids, of course?
It's a part-time thing.
Okay.
It's more of a glorious hobby, I would say. It's something that I tend to do more than I planned on doing.
Okay.
And it's mostly due to like social media. Like I'm constantly
Really?
trying to photograph, edit. You have to you have to photograph, you have to edit.
Right.
You have to, trademark it or copyright it or whatever you do.
Mm-hmm.
So all that takes a little bit of time, and then you post it and share it, check back on it.
Mm-hmm. Answer questions if people
Answer
have
questions,
them. Right. Okay.
bump it up, that kind of thing. It's a pain.
I can imagine. It's social media. So I do obviously all the social media for the town, and it could be daunting to say the least. Yeah, because there's so many different pieces, and keeping it all updated and stuff can be like, oh, I forgot to put it on Instagram. Oh, I forgot to put it on
I know.
Facebook.
But it's I gotta say, it's a lot easier than when I was in college in the 90s, where you walk out with a binder full of slides and a projector under your arm and going, what do I do with this stuff now?
Oh, wow, yeah.
That's like that was the reality when I graduated college. I had like a stack of slides and a slide projector, but no, digital images.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just in a box.
Right, yeah.
Clearly,
technology's made things a lot.
It was a
easier,
lot
for sure.
harder to promote yourself, and back then I didn't really have the confidence.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I'm years old, so I've been around the block. So yeah, it makes it easier.
Okay.
But it takes a long time.
Okay, makes sense.
It sucks your time up.
What's her social? Gail Margaret's asking, what's your social media page or address? So Gail, I'll show you the Etsy. I'm gonna pull that. I'll pop that up on the screen right now. And here you go. If you're still
Thanks for your interest,
if you're still
Gail.
watching. There we go. And you also, so while I'm showing this, you also brought some stuff to show us, some of the tools of the trade, which I'm really curious to see.
Tools of the trade.
And then also did you bring some sample jewelry as well to show off as well?
I did, yep.
So this is the Etsy store. Do you have your own website as well, or do you just use Etsy?
That's going to be in the future.
Okay. When you have extra time.
When I have extra time. But my husband's a tech guy. He's...
Oh, you tell him to get on that then.
He's a software developer. I mean, he's kind of busy with work right now, but he said he'd give me a hand with that at some point. I have no patience for the whole...
Yeah, it's a whole nother animal doing websites.
Yeah.
Boy, it's a lot of back
Yeah, I
end
don't
work.
have the patience.
Yeah, you have some really cool stuff. My
thank
wife
you.
actually is really going to be interested in seeing some of these things.
Thank you.
She's tinkered with making her own. She's very much in the same vein as you. She's very artsy, and she likes to mess around with this stuff, but she doesn't have much time lately. So that's why I wanted to get her something. Possibly, but yeah. So there's her Etsy, Gail. If you want to check that out,
there are links to like my other social media sites on the Etsy page. So if you wanted to,
do you have a Facebook page?
I do.
You do? Okay.
It's just Danielle Robichaud Jewelry.
Okay, there you go. So you can search that as well, Danielle Robichaud Jewelry. You can find.
And I'm on Instagram.
Find all that stuff, and you're on Instagram as well.
And I'm on Twitter.
Okay.
Twitter is not so much of a presence because I barely have any followers because I don't know how to do Twitter.
What's your Instagram handle?
Oh no.
Can't remember. It's okay. We could
Danielle Robichaud Jewelry, I think.
Okay.
I think that's the handle. And I have a hashtag, DRobichaud Jewelry.
Okay. There you go.
I'm so all over the place. I don't even know.
There's so many of them.
I just click share. Share.
All right. So show me some of the tools that you brought in. Yeah. How do you actually make this stuff? Because I'm curious about this, like the process.
I have to
through.
lean over. Hold on.
Okay. Sure. Here we'll go.
The hot mess. The people that set up next to me at the trade shows are like, I'm such a hot mess. It takes me forever. And they're like, well, look at all the little things that you have. I'm like, I know. Okay, so say I was making a cuff bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you could see.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
So this is just like a regular cuff bracelet, copper hammered, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this was a flat sheet.
Okay.
And you
cut out like a strip to make. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like this is a sample of like a flat sheet of copper.
Okay.
It's old, but you would cut it out with a jeweler saw.
Oh, okay.
So
you're actually hand cutting. You're not using a press or some type of stamping machine.
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
So you hand cut, and you work at a jeweler's bench. So you have all these tools like at the ready.
Mm-hmm. I imagine you have like a vise and things like that to hold stuff securely.
I have a vise. I have a small anvil. I use a little creme brulee butane torch.
So you don't have like a kiln in the back that's like burning as you're like
no.
smashing away.
Oh no, that's forging. That's
I'm just kidding.
I've done that in college. I did welding, forging, like all that stuff, and I realized that's not my thing. So I'm more small scale. That being said, I have a lot of stuff for it being so small scale. So like this is something like a steel block. This is a steel block that helps you to, like if you make a ring and you need to make all the sides like flat and flush.
Oh, okay.
You would tap it with like a rawhide mallet on the block to make it flat.
Oh, okay. Why rawhide?
It doesn't mar the metal.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You can also use like a nylon mallet.
I imagine rawhide's probably more of the traditional.
Right. And then there's like, if you need to like, this is called a dapping block. So if you need to dap out shapes. Here, you want to hold it?
Sure, yeah. That weighs quite a bit, actually. So this gives you your rounds and I imagine like all your
yeah, like
circular shapes
your
That's pretty neat.
half dome shapes, yeah.
Oh, looks like it's been used quite a bit.
That's one of the things that I got from that guy.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, these things, like, they're expensive, so I'm, like, pretty excited that I got it for free.
Yeah, I can imagine. Sounds like you got kind of
This is a really old spool of copper wire that I used to make a lot of the rings that I make.
Okay.
Some hand files.
Mm-hmm. Do you find you use a lot of hand filing?
Yes.
Or is it, yeah.
Yes. I brought a big box.
Yeah, you did.
And these are little tiny files. So these are called...
Uh-oh. There we go.
These are called needle files
Okay.
because they're so small, but they come in all different shapes, sizes, different cuts.
Mm-hmm.
So you use these again, like it's
Is that-
not like you make something and polish it and you're done,
Mm-hmm.
unless you want to do that.
Mhm.
But you know, you need to file away the sharp edges. You need to take off any burr that occurs from sawing it.
Okay.
So
you use that to kind of clean up.
Yep, you
and
clean
make it-
up even in like the little tiny crevices. So you have to like really, I mean, this is what they teach you old school, but they teach you to start with the heaviest grit, like the heaviest grit sandpaper and work your way down. And then the heaviest grit polishing compound and work your way down. So it's a lengthy process. Something as simple as like a gold wedding band is, you know, unless you're like making 100 of them a day and unless you want poor quality, it's going to take some time to make.
Well, like anything, yeah. If you want good quality, it's going to take some time. It takes a little blood, sweat, and tears, let's say, and quite a bit of love, I imagine, too, to get it
a
really
lot
where you want
of hammered thumbs and sawed fingers. I sawed my finger last night.
Oh,
That was
no.
fun.
Uh-oh.
We measure small in the jewelry world. So
Okay.
this is a millimeter gauge.
Oh, okay. Very
So you
tiny set
use-
of calipers, basically.
Yep. So it's millimeters, inches. This is like, you need this.
That looks like it's been around the block quite a bit, too,
Yeah. And this is like this is another type of hammer. This is a brass hammer.
huh? Okay.
Very beat up. A small rawhide mallet. And then like pliers, so like jeweler's pliers. You see them at like, you know, craft stores and stuff.
Right, the round
Yeah,
tip
so like
ones and
this is
stuff,
like
and flat tips and,
yeah, this is like flat. This is round.
Okay.
Flat round. But they each serve a certain purpose. You know, this is needle nose.
It's funny because when you need that specific tool to do that certain task, like you have to have the right tool. You can't
and
fake
I
it
try
with
to
another
explain that to my husband all the time when I'm buying things online. I'm like, I need this.
You know, I tell my wife the same thing when it comes to I like do a lot of work handyman stuff at home, and it drives her crazy that I have like walls of tools, but you know, you need it. You have to have that wrench that does that specific thing.
You have to have it. But before I started, this is like off. This is how you measure rings too.
Oh, okay. I've seen one of those.
So
yeah,
it's a mandrel.
Yeah.
You do the same thing with bracelets. So like I have a ring here. It's really, I got wet, so it's kind of rusty. But you just throw it on, you know.
And it gives you the size. What size am I actually?
6 3/4.
Oh, this one. I'm curious.
Let's see.
I forget what size that ring is. It's
a 10.
Is it a 10? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little large. When my hand
Swells.
sweats,
Oh, yeah.
it slips right off of me practically.
Yeah.
Usually, yeah. Or if it gets cold, you know.
And you can't size titanium, I don't think.
No, you can't
because
do anything to it.
It needs too high of a temperature to,
Yeah. There's pretty much not
probably
too much
why
on
I've never
God's
worked
green
in
earth
it, because I would need really big equipment to work with titanium.
Yeah.
I brought a couple of pieces too with me. That's pretty much like, I mean, that's like the standard tools. Oh, and then this fun thing. So when you can see.
Oh, the famous
Optivisor.
There you go. Yeah.
People always like this one. This one's funny. And then like a loop, like I have a loop, you know, that kind of thing. And then these, they're messy even in the box. These are all the the pieces and parts that you use to polish jewelry.
Oh, okay. So do you use like a Dremel or something for that?
It's called a flex shaft. And basically, the motor hangs.
Oh, okay.
And it hangs down, and you have a handle with all all these attachments can go in. Kind of like the dentist office. Basically, jewelers use the same kind of tools a dentist does.
Just not as creepy and gross.
Right.
Not sticking it in people's mouths.
Well, it can be creepy and gross. You never know. You never know. And then, like, this is the stuff I made in college, which was, like, super, like, bizarre. I used to wear this, like, every day. So it was inspired by Antoni Gaudi, the architect that was in Barcelona, Spain, and, like, that whole area.
Don't lie. That was your self-defense, wasn't it?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Don't mess with
But
that.
I made it to lay flat. And then my teacher was like, make it stand up, make it be different. And I'm like, okay. So, like, yeah, I made this, and I wore it for so long, the bottom's worn out.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But
that's pretty neat.
yeah, I just save it now because I can't get away walking around in Tyngsborough with a ring like that. Maybe in, like, Harvard Square.
Right, yeah.
Where I used to go.
So really quickly, let me just remind everybody. So you're watching, this is my Tyngsborough Tuesdays edition, where I invite local businesses in the town of Tyngsborough to come in and talk about what they do and why and how people can contact them, should people be so interested in doing that. If you are a business in Tyngsborough, feel free to give me a contact us, Brogan at tyngsborough.gov, or you can send messages through Facebook, PM through there, or through YouTube if you want as well. That's in the comment section. But we're doing this on Tuesdays. You are the first one. You're the inaugural guest, so I do appreciate you coming on and being that guest.
I'm the guinea pig.
You are the guinea pig, right? Yeah. She got to see the behind the scenes, so the hot mess that's on this side over here, messing around, trying to get everything, all the technology working. Boy, it can be a challenge. But if you wanted to find out information, and we'll talk a little bit more too, I'm not cutting you off here, but you can go on Danielle's Etsy page. You can check her out there. I put the link to her Etsy page in the comment section on this post. So if you want to check that out. And then, like you said, you go to a few other places as well, farmers markets and things. Yeah,
like upcoming, I have the Chelmsford Farmers Market this Saturday. I'm going to do the Little Bazaar. It's in Lowell at Mill Number 5. It's kind of like, from what I've never been there. I've never even knew it existed.
Oh, you've never been to Mill Number 5?
No.
It's awesome.
I know. Like, how do I not know this?
Yeah. It's a super cool place.
A friend that went to art school with me, she's like, she lives in Drake, and she's like, oh my God, Danielle, you got to put your stuff in there. You'd love it. It's, you know, and I'm like, okay. And so it's like, you have to apply and you're selected.
Okay.
So I was selected, which is cool. But I'm a little intimidated because I'm like, what kind of other stuff is going to be there? But I'm doing that on October 13th. It's called The Flea.
Okay.
So they have every Saturday for the next couple of months, they have, like, there's a vintage market, there's a bazaar market, and then the Flea. And the Flea is basically like handmade artisan stuff. Artists, painting, like all that stuff.
I've been, there's food, there's jewelry, there's
music,
all kinds of cool stuff. And it's a neat little spot too, because it's, when you go in, it's on the 4th floor. I think it was 4th floor, right? Yeah. But it's lined with all these different looking storefronts. And you almost feel like you're in like
the Children's Museum,
kind of, or I was gonna say like Old England or something like that. It's this like narrow hallway with all these storefronts lining it, but they're all really funky and cool looking. And
I'm looking forward to it. I'm really that's my people, you know, like I'm looking forward to it. So I have that, and then I have I'm gonna do the Yankee Doodle Homecoming in Billerica.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is convenient for my mom because she lives there.
Oh, there you go.
And then doing a fall sip and shop kind of thing at Princeton Station, the restaurant.
Okay, yeah. That's right down the road from here. Actually.
Yeah, closer to November. Yeah, I keep trying to line things up. If the public school system here is going to do something, I'll probably do like the Christmas fair or whatever.
Were you at our block party this past a couple Sundays ago? Excellent. All right.
Yeah, it was fun.
Cool.
I mean, I couldn't really venture around,
right,
so I didn't know what was going on
table.
behind me. We couldn't even hear the music.
Really?
We were at the farmers market section.
Oh, you were on the other side.
So we couldn't even hear the music.
Okay.
Like, I was like, there's a band playing right now? Like,
I ran out of speakers getting it all the way down there, yeah.
Oh, you were the speaker guy?
I had speakers running down to the Old Town Hall, but I didn't have any more, so I couldn't get it to the farmer's market as well. I'll work on that for next year. Yeah,
well, I don't know if there'll be a farmer's market next year.
Well, yeah, we'll figure that one out, but
I know.
That's disappointing, but we'll see if that...
If I had more time.
Right, yeah, clearly. You'd be making more jewelry, I think, if you had more time. Cool. So anything else you want to tell folks about as far as your business? And
No, just reach out if you're interested. And
okay. Oh, and you brought Julie to show, right?
Oh,
Let's do that
yes,
before we
yes.
forget. Yeah. Okay. So she has some stuff to show.
So I have some stuff. Excuse the tags. I just took them right out of the.
Mm-hmm.
These here. I don't know. It's hard to say.
It is a little small. Yeah. It's can be a little,
Yeah. Well, basically, these are some hoops with little wired beads on them.
Okay.
All handmade. These are like the most popular earrings I make. Everyone loves them. They're like so cute. But they come with like a copper bead or a brass bead. I could do a silver bead. I could do gold. The holes in this cardboard are uneven, so they look bigger than each other. They're not. And I make some sterling. Oh, that's upside down. I make some sterling silver pieces. So I have these earrings here.
There we go. Small things are difficult to get on camera. You have to really zoom in on those. Cool.
And then these were part of when that guy gave me all that stuff. There was some, stuff, and I was like, "Oh, I like this thing. What is it?" And they were long. Here, I brought one in like at the bottom of the box, but I brought one. I'll find it after. But basically, they were long, and they had like this open end on one side. And they were really like springy. So I was like, what is it? And they were stamped sterling. So I was like, oh. And I think that they used to be money clips.
Oh, okay.
This is part of the, I cut them. I broke them up. I cut them up. And I made a pair of earrings. I really like, these ones are my favorite.
Those are really neat, yeah.
Spackly.
Yeah. How many times do you make something and you're like, I'm going to keep that for myself?
Well,
Does it happen a lot?
This is a ring from back in my heyday of art school and crazy. It had a different stone in it, and the stone fell out. So I cut the top. I kept the ring part, like the shank part. I kept that, and I cut the top off. And recently, I had this stone that I'm like, oh, like this. I think this is a picture agate. I think, but I cut the top off. I added a bezel. I added a little tiny like copper detail, and then I set the stone. So I like I upcycled an old ring that I had that I didn't really change. I just added a new stone. But like this, I was like, oh, I'll sell this. Oops, it was conveniently my size, so I just kept it. And like I wear some of my pieces too. Like I have these I posted the other day, and they're crazy popular right now.
Was it that like a thumb ring kind of thing? Here we go.
Well, it's just a thin band, and minimalist styles really in right now.
Okay.
Or, it's something that I'm like, wow, like everyone's really into this minimalist style. So basically, it's just like a thin band, and people buy slews of them and stack them all up on top of each other.
Oh, okay.
So they call them stackable rings, or,
So that's like the new style?
It's like a style. They do it with bracelets, necklaces, rings. Some rings have
popular
stones.
like in the 80s?
Probably. I mean, I had the jelly bracelet stack, I had the charm necklace stack, but this was like, yeah, that people are buying like these little rings, or they just want to wear it alone. Some people ask me if I do them for wedding bands. You can do whatever. I'll make it. You do
whatever you want.
Do
with it
whatever you want
Put
with
it
it.
on your big toe if you want to.
I don't care. Yeah. So these are really popular right now, and I do like tiny little. This is another minimalist pair of earrings.
Okay,
They're like just little sterling silver danglies. I could do earrings for non-pierced ears.
There we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's tricky to focus on these things being so small. Actually, yeah, no, that shows up pretty good.
My cardboard. See, I make my tags myself. So
there we go.
sometimes I don't poke the holes very evenly.
That's okay. Nobody cares too much about that.
But these,
as long as it's the jewelry that we're looking
right.
at. Right.
So these are my little sweet dangles there.
Cool. Those are cool.
And I also do things like big giant hoops. But they're so paperweight, so thin. But they're really fun to wear. This is one of those ones where I'm like, I might just keep it for myself. And then I have the same kind of thing in bracelets.
Oh, okay.
So these are like those kind of bracelets that you can stack.
They're very dainty.
Dainty, thin, but they're durable. And you can wear them every day. Like I wear a copper one every day. Like I wear a copper ring every day. So yeah, and I also use like unconventional. I'm talking a lot.
It's okay. It's all right. That's the point of this whole thing. It's all right.
I use kind of unconventional materials too sometimes. Like, so I have a lot of abalone shell, and it's raw form. So it's not coated with anything. It's just like slivers of raw abalone shell. So
there we go.
You know, you drill a hole. You wear your eye protection, you wear your hearing protection, you wear your breathing protection, of course. And you cut up the pieces of shell and you can do anything with them.
Cool.
So I'm even wearing a ring that I made. I didn't make my engagement ring. Or my wedding set. This is that shell, that thin. So it's so super thin that I set into a silver and brass ring.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. You mean you didn't make your husband like get out in the shed or the garage and like start banging away on some metal to make
He was so intimidated from what I understand. He's like, how do you get an engagement ring for a jeweler? But he did. Funny. He did a good job.
That's cool.
And then I, like little stud earrings. These are upcycled from this little like wagon wheel pair. These are fun because you can wear them almost like an ear climber. You can wear them sideways.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
So lots of different neat and different things that you make. I just got
a bunch of stuff. I use leather, wood, silk thread,
Do you find your clientele is mostly women, or do you get a lot of men as well that look for some of this stuff?
No men really.
No? Okay. I kind of figured that.
I was actually on Pinterest the other night. I'm on Pinterest too. I was on Pinterest I was on Pinterest the other night, which is new to me because I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to be sucked in. But I was like looking up men's jewelry because I'm like, I worked in a jewelry store. Yeah. I mean, the most we ever sold were wedding bands and, sometimes watches. We had watches. I don't sell watches, but I can make wedding bands. But a lot of men right now are really into like leather.
Yeah, it's been popular lately.
Yeah, leather wrist cuffs or like leather, for lack of a better word, friendship bracelets, that kind of thing. So like I might think of making some stuff like that. I have a lot of young fans. So like at the farmers markets, there'll be like little girls like wanting to buy a ring.
Oh, okay.
And if you buy like some of the base metal, like copper, brass, that's base metal. If you buy some of those pieces from me or some of like my beaded pieces, those are in a better price range for parents to spend money.
I noticed that some of your stuff, and we can't go too much into prices, but I noticed that your stuff is very, I won't say very inexpensive.
It's affordable.
It's affordable, right?
Yep.
That's the right word to say. Yeah, it's affordable. So you're not going to spend $10,000 on a ring or even $5,000.
Right,
I mean,
no.
your stuff is definitely reasonably priced,
because
which you'll see on the Etsy page if you go on there.
I like to keep it, I think of women my age. That's like my demographic, like, either working or stay-at-home mom, late 30s, early 40s, whatever. But then you have like fans like my mom and her friends love my stuff. And like, I'm like, keep it coming. That's fine. I'll do whatever you want. I'll make whatever you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun to like just try to make something for everybody.
And you enjoy it, it sounds like,
too.
So that's really good.
I do.
I think the catch to all of it, to any home business or any business in general, is that you enjoy doing what you're doing. If you hate it, you're not going to want to do it. So clearly you do enjoy it. And the stuff that you make is beautiful.
Thank you.
It's very, very pretty stuff. I'm sure my wife is going to be very interested.
Thanks. Stay tuned.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
So we're going to wind it down. We've gone almost 45 minutes now. Actually, a little over 45
I told you
minutes.
I can talk.
You did say that, and you held true to that. So that's cool. That's the point of this whole thing, is to talk about these various things. So I hope everybody at home had fun watching this, got a little bit of information about one of the many local businesses in Tyngsborough. There's like well over 2,000 local businesses. If you go on Yellow Pages and just search Tyngsborough, I think it was like 1,900 and something show up, and that's just the ones that are.
And I'm just like
listed in
down here,
Pages.
like I'm just like down. I'm the lowest. Just starting. So
well, you're a new business, so that's
and
cool.
I appreciate the opportunity to come here today to do this. This has been fun.
Excellent. You're very welcome for coming
Thanks.
on. And as I said before, any other businesses that's in town, you have to be in Tyngsborough. You have to be a Tyngsborough-based business. But if you want to come on and talk about your business and tell us all about it, tell folks at home, you are more than welcome to send me an email, sbrogan@tyngsboroughma.gov, or you can reach out to me through Facebook or YouTube, either way, whichever you want to do. Also, don't forget, you can watch these programs on Facebook on our various pages that we share it across. We share it across multiple. Social media is crazy. There's so much of it. We also put this stuff on YouTube. So if you want to watch it there, you can watch it there as well. You can watch it at tyngsboroughma.gov on our live streaming and video on demand service. And you can also watch it at home on your TV on Comcast Channel 8 and Verizon Channel 29. If you are so inclined and you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can feel free to chime in and comment as well. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to all those pages so that you'll see all of our future content that comes up. Because we love to get this stuff out there, and you can share it with your neighbors and your friends and help some of your local businesses here in Tyngsborough. So with that said, folks, again, Danielle, thank you very much for coming on.
And
You're
thanks to everyone so far for their support, too, because it's kind of been surprising and overwhelming and
Excellent.
nice.
That's really good to hear. I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah. So don't forget to help out your local businesses. And again, any questions, feel free to let me know. And with that said, folks, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.